Today we're in GMetrix admin and we're going to be looking at creating custom trainings and tests for your students in GMetrix. You'll want to go to the GMetrix admin site, which is different from the student portal that your students normally log into. If you don't have access to this, you'll want to find somebody at your school or in your school district to give you access so that you can do this. GMetrix admin has a lot of features that are helpful to teachers, so it's important you have access to that. We'll go ahead and sign in. This screen changes from time to time, but it stays mostly the same. Where we want to go is on the left-hand side, and we want to select Custom Test. On this screen, we want to click Create New Test. In the test information, you'll want to go ahead and give your test a name. For this, we'll just go ahead and call it Excel. You can set your language and your passing score. I normally just put in 85. Now, this button right here is very important because you have the option of making this a training or exam. A training will give your students help and there won't be any time on it. If you want to make this a test, you won't want to have this clicked because you'll have a certain amount of time that your students have and there won't be any helps. For this, I'm going to go ahead and check the box. We'll click Next. The second part of this is selecting the program that you're using. For this, we'll select Office 365 2019. And then you have the option of selecting the product here. For this, we'll select Excel. I will tell you that for the most part, the 2016 and the 2019 have the same questions, but I did notice that the 2016 has just a few more questions. So it's up to you which one you want to select. I'm assuming that eventually they'll bring those same questions into the 365 version. And even down here for 365, it's pulling the 2016 questions. So just keep that in the back of your mind. We'll click Next. On this screen, we have a ton of questions that we can choose from. And where these questions are coming from are actually from the GMetrix skills reviews. And what they've done is they've pulled all of those questions and put them into the different domains of the exam. Let me go to the exam page so you can see those 5 domains. Each one of those questions is filtered into one of these sections. It's important that you're familiar with the domains because they carry a different weight for the exam. Let's go back. For this, I'm going to select all of the formulas and functions questions, and I just check that box next to the name. I could uncheck one of these, or if I wanted to just randomly select just a few, I could. I don't have to click that header box. I'm going to scroll back up to the top. It tells me that 30 questions have been selected, which is great. I can set a time limit if this was a test. And then I also have the option to randomize questions. Now, we made this a training, but for a test, this is awesome because it allows me to randomize the questions. In my class, what I will do is I will set that number to like 15 or something, and each student will have a different test, and each time they take the test, it's different. And so that's an awesome feature, and it really will help your students stay on their toes. We'll click Next. Now on this screen, you're going to think you're done, but you're not. You want to click Assign Test. On this screen, you want to find the code that you use for your classroom or codes and check the box next to it, and then click Next. So that you get to this screen, and when I click Next again, it will apply that to that testing code. I want you to take a look at GMetrix for a second. This is the custom training that we just created, and we selected everything in the formula and functions domain. Remember when I said it was important that you understand the domains? Let me go ahead and pull up that domains page, and I'll go ahead and open up this one right here. This lists all of the functions you could see on the exam. This question here that we pulled from GMetrix for the core Excel exam has you doing VLOOKUP. That's not part of the exam. And so if you're trying to help your students get ready for the exam, while this is complicated and it's great for your students to know, it's probably not a question that you really want your students to focus on because this has 2 parts. You're going to name a range, and then you're going to use that named range in the VLOOKUP. Something to note is this ID number here, 44244. What we want to do is go back, edit our custom training so that we pull this question out because, at least in my class, I don't want my students to even see this question and get upset and confused when it's not really necessary. So let's go back to GMetrix admin. So we're back on the GMetrix admin home screen, and what I'm going to do is go back to the custom test section. You can scroll through this list, or you can just type in the name of your exam and click search. I'm going to scroll down to this one right here. And what I want to do is click this green checkbox, edit the test. But before I do that, I do want you to see this right here, this status section. If you don't want your students to have access to this, if you click here, students won't be able to find that in their GMetrix. So if you want to just spring that at the end for like your final, you have that ability to open that up to your students for the final and then close it back out. But for this, we're going to go ahead and click edit. That brings you back to this page. We're not looking to change any of these settings. Excel is what we want, so we'll click next. We're going to scroll down to that domain. And remember that question number we referenced, 44244. That's this question. So I'm going to uncheck this box. And you should note that this is not listed in the same order that the questions appear in GMetrix. Now that we've unchecked that box, I'm going to go ahead and scroll up and click next. So we can just click return home.